Okay, now onto the new stuff. We talk about custom styles and custom themes. So what custom styles allow us to do is, instead of putting all the properties in a local style, we say this object is associated with a custom style that lives off somewhere else. And you can have many objects point to one custom style. Our themes now come with some custom styles built in. So you'll see those in the styles panel of the inspector when you load up a layout. But you can make your own, and you can change ours. When you create a style, a custom style originally, it lives in a layout level theme. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those, but the important point to understand is that when you first create a custom style, it can only be used on the layout upon which it was created until you save that theme. And I'll show you that in a little bit. So let's talk about custom styles. Here's an example I've got. I've changed the look of this one field to have a different fill, a different stroke, and a different border width. Right now, they live in the local styles. Let's say I went, and actually you can tell that they live in the local styles because you see up there in the inspector it says default. There's a little asterisk next to it. The arrow next to the style is red. That means we've got a modification here. This isn't using a vanilla default. This isn't using a vanilla custom style. So if I went to the inspector and I clicked on that red arrow and I created a new custom style, what would happen is we would move that style to the custom style. So all the things that were local get moved into a custom style and it's stored inside that layout. You can tell the custom style is stored inside the layout because now the theme is dirty. The theme has a little asterisk next to it. It means there's something special about this theme for this layout only. So if you were to look in your Styles tab of the inspector, you see that new style shows up, My Custom. And those other ones there, Minimal Edit Box and Read Only, those are the ones I was talking about earlier that we've provided that comes with our themes. So if you want to use this custom style on another layout, you have to make sure that that other layout uses the same theme. It wouldn't make much sense otherwise. We'd probably come up with some bad-looking results. But what you need to do is you need to save the changes to this theme. So just like to create the custom style, you go click on the little arrow in the inspector at the top section. We'll go through the same process here. We'll click on that. We'll save the changes to the current theme. And what that'll do is it'll move that custom style from the layout level theme down into the file level theme. So now this custom style can be accessed by any layout in your file that uses this theme. So you can have a custom style and local styles. So once I've applied a custom style to an object, I can make some changes to that object locally and override just parts of the custom style. This is great for when you want, let's say you've got a cluster of fields. You want them all to look the same, different from default, but you need rounded corners on some, you need square corners on others to make them kind of fit together. This is a great technique for doing that. Now, let's say that I wanted to modify this custom style. So I've created my custom, it's saved in the file level theme, I've changed this to 1.4 point, I want this to take effect in this custom style. If I click on you'll notice here I've got the local changes, you've got the red arrow and the asterisk. If I click on that red arrow, I can save the changes to this custom style. And what that'll do in the first pass is it'll just save these overrides at the layout level. So right now, the 1 point width and 4 point radius is only going to show up for objects that use this style on this layout. To get it fully across the whole file, I need to save the theme. So just like we cascade, or for custom styles, they affect the cascading order as well. And they live in the cascading order between local style and the theme style. So for this example right here, we're kind of in the same situation we were in before. I've taken my custom style, I've modified it, I've only saved that modification to this layout, and then I've also gone and made a local change to this one object. So as we go to draw this object and we cascade through, first we check local. If we don't find anything there, we look at the custom style at the layout level. If we don't find anything there, we look at the custom style on the theme level. So for the next one, we look local first, we find it. And these last two, I'm thinking you're probably seeing a pattern here. We'll cascade down and we'll find them first at the custom style at the layout level, and that's what we'll use, that's what we'll draw. Yes? I'll get to that a little bit. Both cost and, I think, efficiency. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The question was, is there any way to know what the cost is with any given style? And I think we give you some little tools in here, but it's not a score or anything. If you see that red arrow, you should think about, do I have that there for a reason? And these custom styles are useful not just for performance, as I'll talk about in a second, but they're also useful for your productivity. And I'll talk about that in a second. If you've got questions, I got a microphone up here, so maybe after I'm done, I'll ask you to come up to this table and use the mic, unless it's related to this slide. Yes? So the question was, it seems like the fastest way to get to a style is to have it local. And the cost is only, local styles are only higher cost in storage. And that is true, but the incremental cost for us to cascade down from local to custom to the theme is very, very small. I mean, we're talking not milliseconds, probably microseconds. So in the grand scheme of things, that's not going to be the defining factor in your performance. It's going to take way longer to download all these style information, especially if they're spread out across many layout objects, than it would to just cascade down that extra level. The other thing that we do is we don't cascade every time we draw. I know I've made it sound like that, but we do it once, we remember the results, and we only reevaluate if we notice that something's changed. So even if cascading were expensive, it's still not that expensive because we cache it. Yes?
So just help frame the conversation.
Yeah, so what you're saying is, we're talking about if you follow these rules, they're seeing in the real world, the layouts are half the size, which means twice as fast to download. So I want to talk a little bit more about those layout level custom styles. So when you modify, if you rename, if you delete a custom style, it only affects it on that one layout until you save the changes to the theme. So if you do any of these operations, you'll notice the inspector will show you the little red arrow up at the top next to your theme. That means that we've got theme, or we've got local changes to the theme. That means this layout only has changed the theme. If you want to save those, you've got to save the change to the theme. But maybe you want this custom style to be just subtly different on this layout only. You can use that. I mean, we've kind of done it that way so you can stage these changes. You don't have to change it across the whole file. For efficiency and consistency, it's probably best to do that, but there may be some situations where you don't want to. So custom themes. We allow you to modify our built-in themes, and you can use our built-in themes to create your own. Important thing to remember if you're creating custom themes is we'll update them for you in the future. So if in FileMaker 19 we add 7 new types of layout objects, your custom theme doesn't know how to draw those objects. And this is where it matters which theme you based yours off of. So if you based your custom theme off of Enlightened, when we add those new layout objects, we're going to take the styling information from Enlightened and put them into your custom theme. So the choice you make initially about what to base your custom theme off of matters in the future. So we talked about this a little bit. You can have a layout local theme or a layout level theme. And whenever you make changes to the theme, they're initially at the layout level only, just like custom styles. So an example here is I've got this object selected at the top. It has no local styles, just drawing exactly what you see in the theme. If I make some local changes, you will see now we've got some local styles. I've made the fill a little bit darker. I've given it a stroke. And once again, you see the red arrow there. And now what I'm going to do is instead of using that to create a custom style, I'm going to save changes to the current style. And you can see what the current style is up there in the inspector. It says default. And what that means is if you save changes to this style, you're not creating or modifying a custom style. You're modifying the theme. So you will change this, as you'll see, all objects. So now the sophisticated theme, all fields have a slightly darker fill, that gray border. And right now, though, it's just on this layout. So other layouts you've got that use sophisticated will not be affected by this change. Like I said, you can tell by looking up at the inspector, you see the asterisk, you see the red arrow next to theme. That means we've got layout-only changes to this theme. If I wanted to affect all layouts, I go up to the inspector, I choose that menu, and I say Save Changes to Theme. That'll move it down to the theme level. And now it'll affect all your layouts. So as promised, I'm going to talk again about performance. What's that?
If I do what you just showed, making the sophisticated theme, file theme, this modification, will that be updated then?
Updated, how do you?
There's a new version?
Oh, so once you've modified one of our built-in themes, even if you decide to retain the same name, it's still treated as a custom theme. So it will be updated when we make changes, but usually all we'll do is we'll just add the new information about new types of layout objects. We're not going to make other changes to it. Once you've changed it, it becomes your own. So custom styles, as we talked about, can affect performance. They allow you to take all those local styles and collapse them down into one custom style. This can make a really big difference on a layout level. If you have 20, 30 objects that are all styled the same way and they differ from the theme, you can collapse them down. That makes an even bigger difference when you're talking about this at a file level. So I might have a layout that I've got 8 fields, and all those fields have the exact same local styles. I've selected them all. I've used the format painter. I've used copy style, paste style, and what you're going to wind up with is a lot of duplication. When you use custom styles, all of those go away, and they're replaced by just one custom style. So in this example, we have 8 times less in the way of local style information. If we repeated this across 10 layouts, we're talking 80 times less. So you can see how this makes a big difference, not just at the layout level, but at the file level. And it also, in addition to helping you out from a performance standpoint, if I wanted to change this, if I decided that, you know, this blue color I've picked, not really popular anymore, it was kind of a fad, I'm regretting my decision. Right now, if you want to go change it, have fun. You're going to have to go select all those objects and change all of those local styles. If you use a custom style, now you've got one spot to change it. You make the modification to one object, you say save this change to my custom styles, and it gets populated to all the objects that use that custom style. I think in addition to your productivity, this really helps out with the design of your layouts as well. If you use custom styles intelligently, if you use themes to make global changes to all of your objects, it can help to enforce consistency across the entire solution. And consistency, as you've probably heard in a variety of other sessions so far, is a big part of what makes a solution well-designed and usable. So custom themes and performance. Using custom themes or making a custom theme probably is not going to change the performance of your solution too much. Now, if you go and you select all the fields on your layouts and you style them all using local styles, it's going to make a big difference if you, instead of doing that, save it down to the theme and let the theme style the objects. But once you've created that custom theme, it'll perform the same as our built-in themes as long as you make similar choices. So if you change your custom theme to put massive drop shadows on every object, you're going to pay the price. It is not going to be as fast as our built-in themes. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. So I've got some other performance tips. This is an old one, but it's a very important one. If you're writing scripts that iterate over lots of layouts or lots of records, as you go from layout to layout, we've got to tear down all the layout object views. We've got to build them back up again. We've got to refetch new data. We've got to try to draw that data. We don't know when your script is going to stop, so as soon as we get a chance, we'll do that work. If you tell us to freeze the window, we know we can skip all that. We don't bother building views. We don't bother reloading all that stuff. We try to just keep things the same, and you'll notice a massive difference in scripting performance if you can freeze the window during your script. If you need to update it during that process, you can use refresh window and refresh object, and we will listen to those commands. Yes, I can't freeze window. If you've got a script that's running slow, look and see if you've got a freeze window step at the beginning of it. It can make a big difference. The flip side of that coin, refresh window really means refresh window now. Before FileMaker 12, refresh window was kind of a, hey, if you get a chance sometime later, would you maybe redraw my window? Now it means stop what you're doing, tear everything down, build everything back up, and redraw the window right now. If you have a loop, and inside that loop it says refresh window, and you call it 100 times, in the past what that would do is it would just ask us 100 times, maybe when you get a chance, will you redraw the window? And we would do it once. Now it means redraw the window 100 times. So that's another thing to look for. If you see I've updated from 11 to 12 or 11 to 13, and I've got a script that runs slower than it used to, look out for refresh window, because it behaves a little bit differently now. There's a question up here, I think. Yes? How does, you mean the theme stuff? So themes only live within a file. When you choose a theme, it just pulls it into that file. If you've got your user interface spread out from file to file, you can import the theme from one file to another, but you can't reference it. So there's no live connection there, unfortunately. Yeah, so the question is, if you modify one of the built-in themes, does it only live within that file? And yes. So when you choose a theme, the theme lives on disk originally, but upon choosing that theme, even if it's one of our built-in themes, we pull that theme into your file. And it's lost any connection with the theme on the disk. If we have updates, we'll apply them to your theme, but changing what's on the disk will not affect any of the files that use that theme. It's no longer a connection that's maintained. I'm getting real close to the end. In fact, there you go.